It has been a significant result here in Derry and Strabane, but that's obviously replicated right across the north. It's been a very positive campaign, I have to say, very engaging campaign at times whenever the media were talking about it being downbeat. That certainly wasn't my experience out on the doorsteps, in community centres and schools and businesses. People are very much engaged, and I think that the endorsement that we've got here in Derry and Strabane, but also right across the north, reflects the positive campaign that we did fight. It was about, a message of telling people what we were for. It was about electing hard-working councillors. But for me, it definitely was about positive leadership. It was about a restoration of the executive. It was about making politics work. And I'm very glad that that has resonated with the electorate and that they have come out in such strong numbers, where we now are in course to have a very momentous election result. And then it's now obviously what we're going to do next, which is, in my opinion, we need to work double down in terms of getting an executive restored and then get our councils actively up and running again. But those councils themselves will always do better when they're working in tandem with the locally elected ministers who can actually support councils and, come at things in a collective spirit. So I think we've work to do in the time ahead, but certainly it's been a very positive election result for the party so far, and we've obviously a bit more to go throughout the course of today.
Do you, in all honesty, think that it's going to be easier to get Stormont up and running again now that the Sinn Féin juggernaut is looking at maybe picking up 130 seats this time round? That's a significant increase, potentially 25-seat increase on 2019. The DUP knocked off its top spot by Sinn Féin. Is it not potentially more likely that Jeffrey Donaldson doesn't move in the autumn, and it's actually much more difficult to get the devolved administration back up and running again, partly because of this big result for Sinn Féin?
Well, I think that everybody should listen to the voters, and what the voters have said is that they want politics to work. Even the DUP themselves put forward that a vote for them was a vote to get the executive up and running. So I think that the electorate have clearly said that what they want is local politics to work, that they want the parties to work together, that they can see the scale of the cuts that are coming in terms of the Tory austerity agenda that's been foisted upon us, and they can see that the best defence they have in all of that the parties actually work together. So I am determined to try to make that happen, but I do think that the onus is very much on the two governments now, all the parties, but not least the DUP now, to get off the fence and actually get into the Assembly and the Executive and start to make this place work. I think that it's there's no doubt that there's many challenges facing us in the time ahead, but we are best placed in working together, and we're best placed fighting back Tory austerity together in the Executive and trying to do our very best for the public, because ultimately, all the analysis that you'll do over the course of today's programme and the weeks ahead will definitely point to the fact the electorate here have endorsed positive leadership. They've endorsed parties that want to work together. They've endorsed, I think, that the fact that they want politics to work. So let's try to deliver on that. So I would call on the two governments now as co-guarantors to actually come together. The way they could come together, actually, Mark, is through the British Irish Intergovernmental Conference. Have that meeting as a matter of urgency. Put a plan on the table. How is this going to work? How are we going to have a restored executive? And I would not accept that time frame of the autumn, which a lot of people are suggesting. That there shouldn't be any more delays. Let's do this Monday morning. Let's get around the table. Let's have those discussions, and I'm certainly ready to do that.
OK, well, we'll see if that happens or not. We hear the call that you have made on this programme. Can I ask you, do you think it's good for democracy that one party is so successful in a local election that it will come back with such a majority or such a high number of seats over its next nearest rival, and that in the process you have knocked out a lot of potentially smaller parties like AN2, like People Before Profit, potentially taking seats off the SDLP as well? Is that good for democracy?
Well, isn't it democracy in action? You put yourself before the electorate, you tell them what you're for, you ask them to endorse that, and in this election they have endorsed the Sinn Féin message. So I very much welcome that, and I'm very grateful to every voter that came out and elected us in this election. And in return, we will work night and day. We will work extremely hard. I will try to be as inclusive as I can. I will try to bring as many people together as I can, because I believe in life that you can get far more done when you work in tandem with others than you do trying to do things on your own. So, this is democracy in action. This is how it works. This is an electoral contest, and whoever comes out the other end of that, it's most important, I think, for the electorate what actually you do with that. So we have now returned, or in the course to return, as you said, as the largest party of local government. That comes last year on the back of having returned as the largest party of the Assembly. But what you do with that is really, really important to me. And what I want to say to the electorate at home is that I am not giving up. I am not accepting the autumn as a time frame in terms of a restored executive. I will work night and day, and I will work with others to try to restore the executive. But the onus is very much on the two governments and the DUP now to get off the fence and actually to get into the executive and make this happen. Let's work together and fight back against this Tory austerity agenda.